good afternoon, TED. Hi, hello, woo! All right, so today I'm going to talk about a bunch of case studies and some people who've really embraced the DIY philosophy that I think today we've probably heard a lot about and hopefully are all fired up to go out and take this approach into our everyday lives. So airplanes and boats have this thing in common. It's called a trim tab. It's TRIMTAB, trim tab. It's the lever that you use to adjust the rudder to turn the boat's direction. It's the little thing that you manipulate in order to change the complete entire course of the boat or of the airplane. There's a systems theorist named Buckminster Fuller who thinks that this is a great metaphor for systemic change. And I totally agree with him. Even though it's like the least sexy thing to say ever, trim tab, I agree that it's the levers of change that we can all find in organizations, at work, at home, whatever, that can actually change our communities. So today I'll walk you through some examples. It was 2007, the Obama campaign. Nobody had heard of this guy named Barack Obama. It was June 2007. And he shows up at a campaign stop in South Carolina. And it was kind of a miserable day, and it was raining, and the audience was miserable, and he was miserable. And this woman in the audience, she kind of saw his face, and he starts talking, and she interrupts him. She starts going, "Fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go." And he was like, what the hell is going on? Who is this person? He had no idea that he had just met and encountered Edith Childs. Edith Childs is a local city councilwoman who's known for chanting. I love this lady. I'm a big fan of chanting. Are there other big chanting fans in the audience? Yeah, let's go for chanting. And so I even chanting sometimes, seriously. So anyway, Edith, she didn't stop. She kept chanting, fired up, ready to go. And soon the audience started to join her. And then his staff, Obama's staff, started to join. And then he tells a story. Well, after a few minutes, even I was fired up and ready to go. This chant, fired up and ready to go, became the rallying cry for the campaign. It was said at every single rally with hundreds of thousands of people. At every staff meeting, you would be walking down the street with a t-shirt, and people would yell at you, with an Obama t-shirt, and people would yell at you, fired up, ready to go. Or maybe you were wearing a t-shirt that said, fired up and ready to go. So you get the point. This woman, she not only influenced the room and changed the room and that night and that campaign stop, but she influenced the entire campaign. And in the words of one of the campaign managers, she brought more and more people who were looking to be fired up and ready to go to do something, to make a change in their communities and to volunteer and help get this guy elected. I joined the campaign a couple months. I was pretty fired up myself, a couple months after that story. And what was so cool about the campaign is that it was really maximized, or it was designed to maximize the individual efforts of every single volunteer, of every single staff member, of everyone that was a part of helping get this guy elected. Even people who were not involved in the campaign at all. So Shepard Fairey was inspired to create this poster, to create this image, which is obviously now was the symbol of the campaign in so many ways. There was that space and that permission to let people bring it and make it come alive for themselves, and DIY campaign, basically. And that's exactly what that was. I was on the new media team, and the new media team, our job, it's now other teams, now it's like digital or, anyway. So the new media team, our job was to complement the efforts of the field campaign and complement face-to-face voter interactions. And so while the field team might be knocking on your door a couple times a day, or you're getting phone calls, and the press team, their job was to make sure there was a good story. Our job was to be there the other 23 hours of the day. Wherever people were hanging out, whatever they were talking about, we wanted to have those conversations about why Barack Obama should be president with you. So a lot of this times was in MySpace, it was in Facebook, over email, over text message, you get it. This campaign brought a lot of new people into the political process. People who never before felt like their voice was being heard, or that it really mattered, that a vote really mattered. And so we had all these people kind of reaching out to us in ways that, and this was 2008, right? So now it's kind of common, but in ways that traditional campaigns weren't really set up to do. MySpace messages. We manually accepted every MySpace friend, which for Barack Obama, which was a lot. And we also responded to every single MySpace message, even if the message or the text message, which we got a lot, hey, you're hot, let's hang out. And so what we would do is we'd reply, and we'd never say thanks, because we'd say I was a campaign staffer. But we would say, oh, hey, thanks for your message and reaching out. We're really thrilled you're part of this process. Why didn't you go out and volunteer? Why didn't you go knock on some doors or do some data entry? It's really exciting. And through this, actually, suddenly there was a response. This campaign was responding to people. Not only were they being listened, but they were being asked to come and join the effort and to join the movement. So I firmly believe that chanting or that responding to a MySpace message helped move the dial and completely turn this into a movement that became unstoppable once we got through the primaries and into the general election and eventually won the election. So sometimes the trim tab can be a proof of concept or a prototype that people rally around inside of an organization that can even change organizations or government. I'll tell a quick story about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The CFPB, it's like the 4 worst letters combined into an acronym. The CFPB was, is a financial regulatory agency that was set up in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Congress created it in 2010. It was sweeping financial regulation, and one bit of it created this new agency. This agency's job is to regulate the things that we interact with every day: credit cards, student loans, payday loans, things like that. It's consumer financial products. Get it? Yeah. So this was the first time that an agency like this, one place existed like this. So I was one of the first 20 employees, as I was brought on as the digital lead. And the early days of the CFPB were this exciting, frenetic, breathless time and terrifying of how are we going to make sure that the next financial crisis doesn't happen? How are we going to build an institution that is going to last far longer than all of us? How are we going to launch a website that doesn't crash? So this was in 2010, and these were our design and tech principles that we laid out as a team that influenced not only our product and our process, but actually the entire agency, which I'll tell you about. And this is also mentioned in the cover of Businessweek after healthcare.gov crashed, that maybe if they had followed these principles that are pretty straightforward, that wouldn't have happened. So anyway, same team. So anyway, we were really focused on launching our website. And we actually were launching it before the agency got its regulatory powers, which was complicated, but basically we were the first public face of this new thing. And so we wanted to really focus on the ways that we, as a government agency, could engage people and really get them involved in it from day one before we even existed, because that's why we were there. And so, we had a basic, gorgeous website, which was cool. We had a great video that was narrated by Ron Howard and looked like Arrested Development, which was really fun. And then I don't know if you guys remember the Old Spice campaign with the guy in the shower, and you could tweet him. So we didn't put any of our policy experts in a shower, but what we did is we followed the model, and we've opened our doors up, and people could tweet, and we would do a rapid response style video from the policy experts at the CFPB. And so fortunately, the website launched, and the campaign was successful. Congress didn't hate it. They didn't shut us down, which we were kind of scared of at the time. And people felt like this was kind of their agency. But that's all cool, and that's great. But actually what was awesomer, I think, and more sustainable and long-term and exciting, is that it changed the conversations that we were having across the entire organization. So instead of saying, hey, website team, do this thing, put it up on the website, they would come to us and they would say, hey, I want to deliver my thing, my service, in a new and a better way than what we might have done 10 minutes ago, or 10 days ago, before we launched the website. And so we created, by launching a website and not totally messing it up, we created permission across the organization for people to kind of take this on their own, to take this excitement, change, and I guess innovation, to really do their jobs in a different way. So one of the first things we did was we redesigned the mortgage disclosure form. And every single person that has a mortgage gets one of two forms. I don't know why it's two, and that's why we were tasked with redesigning it. And so what we did is we put up a prototype on our website that was way better than the two forms and combined it into one, put it up on our website. There was also another team of people who were going out across the country and talking to people who were actually going to use this form and get feedback and ask them what they thought. And do you like this? And does this actually provide the information that you need to? Because it's a disclosure form. Is this information straightforward to you? And so we went through all the testing, and now it's regulation. Now this is the new form. And so, yay, cool. At the end of that, Elizabeth Warren, who was leading the agency at the time, she came to our office and she goes, "You guys, you changed government today. You changed how government works." And we were like, "What?" She was like, "You changed how government works because the people that are actually using this form helped create the form. They had a direct impact on this, and you enabled that." So it's kind of an example of how a product or a proof of concept, our website, can enable change inside of our organization, which then somehow enabled change across government. So right now I work at an agency called IDEO, and we have a software innovation platform called Moai Engine. And basically what this platform does is it takes IDEO's human-centered design process and puts it online, and it enables organizations to change. So I love this kind of stuff, clearly. And so I consider this little tech tool, this little platform, a trim tab. So one of our clients is a large airline, and the relationship between the cabin crew and its headquarters staff had always been fraught. And they would take out battles and fights on Yammer, and it just wasn't a healthy environment. And so they inserted Moai Engine, this little software tool. And what they did is and the most popular thing that they do is management engages the cabin crew on the menu in certain flights. It was the first time that the cabin crew had ever been engaged in a proactive manner, the people that are interacting with the passengers, on the menu and on the cabin experience. In the first month, customer service satisfaction and food was up 7%. They save over 10,000 pounds every month, and it fluctuates depending on what's going on. But this little thing not only changed how the cabin crew and management collaborate together, but it actually impacted and continues to impact the passengers' experience on thousands of flights every day, which is pretty cool. Another example is an executive search company who uses the platform. They realized that they were getting disrupted by outside influencers like LinkedIn, obviously, right? And so what they did is they decided to ask their employees, how can we disrupt ourselves? How can we make this process better, our search process, our core business? How can we improve on this? And within 3 weeks of the software going live and having this process and this challenge that they were working on, teams across the global organization started forming organically to solve some problems and to prototype some potential solutions. Brainstorming sessions were happening at lunch in offices around the country or around the globe for fun, to think about new ideas or to prototype these things that they'd come up with and different solutions. So now the challenge is wrapped up, and they're already implementing several of the winning ideas. But it's actually just changed how their organization works. It's created more permission, and people feel like feedback has been, I feel like I now am a part of the vision and the part of the future of this organization. And I didn't really feel like that I was being heard before. So I don't think this is what I'll say in my tombstone. I hope not anyway. I guess I won't have much say in that. But I would like all of us to think of the trim tabs in our lives, the levers, Maybe we can all be part of some big, vast trim tabs conspiracy or something really exciting and sexy like that, but that we can find the levers and identify them to change our community, to change our workplace, maybe to go elect somebody. And so I challenge us all to find that and to look for those trim tabs in our lives and do it. Thanks, guys.